Now we're going to use a strategy called SOAPSTone to sort of delve into this. And I know you're familiar with it. You've used it in the past. So what we're going to try and do is ramp it up a little bit in terms of how you use it. If you would take a moment and look at your speech, I asked you to underline words that were difficult or were confusing and to define them in the margin. What I'd like you to do is take a moment with your team and talk about some of the words that were especially challenging and talk about how you define them. Just take about 5 minutes and look at the especially challenging words.
Armaments, I think it means something in the military sense.
Incontestably.
Right.
Look at the context. And,
Pirates brandishing knives.
yeah, what do you think? Think about. What do you think about that movement? What is he doing with his sword?
It's waving it around.
There you go. Nicely done. See, what you're doing is using the context of the sentence to help understand the word, and that's important. I'd like you to return to the text, and I'd like you to reread it. It's okay to read something twice, you know. And as you're rereading, if you would highlight those sentences, those words, those phrases that seem important to you. Take just a few moments with your group and talk about what you highlighted. What did you find important and why?
Acute awareness, as it could live through history itself, and could thus be spared repeating old mistakes. So sort of the old saying, history repeats itself.
Did you guys find that you highlighted a lot of the same lines and passages?
Yeah, we did.
Interesting. Why do you think that is?
I think probably because we all see the same core ideas, and so we all saw similar quotations that represent the core ideas.
Outstanding. Well said, too. Particularly difficult piece for students to articulate is tone. They want to say something as happy as sad or good or bad or dark or light, but what we want them to do is look at the nuanced tone within a complex piece. So getting them to identify in small groups sort of what is his attitude towards his subject. Well, of course, they've identified the subject. That's another good piece about SOAPSTones. It makes sure that they identify the subject, because without that, you can't identify the tone. But as an instructor, you're looking to push them into the more nuanced descriptions of tone, rather than the words that they often choose that are the first ones that come to mind. As they continue to discuss and collaborate, they come up with more interesting words, words that more accurately and precisely define this tone. So what I want you to do, I want each group to create your own graphic organizer. I want you to make sure you have all of these elements, but arrange them on here in any manner that you deem appropriate. And you're going to have a good amount of time to do this, probably about 20, 25 minutes, all right? Remember that the more you express on your graphic organizer, the better other people are going to be able to understand your ideas and your insights.
The subject and the occasion go hand in hand in this situation.
Okay.
So we're getting into the real complexity, the subtext, if you will. Anything else that you noticed as you worked on this? Yes?
We began to think a lot about what was happening in the time period instead of just this speech itself. And I think that helped us understand more who he was directing this to and why he wrote the speech, even though he wasn't going to make it.
Right. What's interesting about this strategy is we often don't think, if we're reading a speech, we are the audience because, well, I'm reading it, I'm the audience. But when you start to think about something and the intended audience, you begin to understand it differently because that's going to push the writer to craft things in certain ways. What else?
We also thought it was kind of a call to action to writers.
Okay.
Start writing more to reveal the lies.
All right, now we're getting into some of the purpose behind that, and that's excellent. You know, it's not just, I won this award. Fantastic. I'm just going to say some pretty things now. This is something different. Anything else that you notice about using this strategy? Yes?
Well, the deeper we dove into this, I felt like I felt more of his passion for this and how much like he felt what he was writing was right. And stuff, and like how influential this could have been.
Right, absolutely. So you started again to get the tone of his writing as you worked